Hello happy hookers, I hope you are all having a fabulous day today. We're going to be working the Tipsy Granny Square as part of our 365 Granny Square a Day crochet along project. Really cute, need two colours so you can see the contrast and get the full effect of this whirly little granny. Lots of colour changes, but no weaving in ends because we are just going to be consistently pulling up working loops and leaving both colours connected until we're finished. So starting off, I've just done a chain of 8. I'm going to do what I can off camera and just show you the important parts because there's a few little quirky things about this square that I think are more important to fit into our video, and we are limited on how long they can be. So I've done a chain of 8, slip stitch together to form a ring. Just going to do a chain of 3, which will count as our first double crochet, and then I'm going to do 2 double crochet into the ring, which will form our first stitch cluster. One and 2. We're going to pull up the working loop and join on our second colour. I'm just going to attach that onto my hook off camera. Trickiest thing with working like this, sorry, that was my ball of wool bumping the camera, is keeping our two yarns from getting twisted up. So I'm just going to join that on with a slip stitch, nice and close to the other one. We have got quite a lot to work into this ring. A chain of 3 and 2 double crochet. So I'm not working over the previous yarn, I've got that all behind where I'm working, so I'm just working around the ring. A chain of 3 and 2 double crochets. We're going to pull up the starting loop. I'm just going to try and make sure you get the best view you can, and we're back to our main colour. So just putting that working loop back onto our hook, and we're going to start incorporating the two together. Just going to slide that around a little so they're nice and close. So I've pulled up the first colour again. We're going to do a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do 3 double crochet into the ring. Just flip that yarn over again. Now we're going to just push that second colour behind, not incorporating any of that behind our stitching, again just working into the ring. We're going to do 3 double crochet. So all of our stitches for the entire pattern are all 3 double crochet clusters, like a traditional granny. So I've done the 3. Pull up the loop. Now we need to go back to our second colour again, and I'm just going to pop that through the chain we just created with our first colour. Get that working loop back onto our hook. I'm going to do a stitch to anchor so everything holds its place, and we can begin working our next triple crochet. So with the second colour, pull it through, do a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Remembering we're just pushing that other colour behind where we're working. We're not working over anything except the tail if you want to avoid some weaving in later, which we all do. We all do. If there's someone out there that loves weaving in ends, come my way. I've got loads to do. And we're back into 3 double crochet stitch cluster into the center of the ring. 2 and 3. I'm going to do one more to show you, to demonstrate again how we push whatever color it is we're going back to through. Just pop that little stitch cluster through the chain that we've created, leaving my working wool behind still, the back of the project, pulling that working loop on, anchor stitch. See, my wool just wants to tangle, doesn't want to cooperate. There we go, out of the way. Chain of 3, and pushing that color back, we're going to do another triple crochet cluster. So we're going to continue doing that until we have 4 groups of each color, so 8 double crochet clusters all up in the center. Before you finish off, just pull your loops up at the end of your 4th for each color, and I'll meet you back here to show you how to finish the round off properly. Okay, we're back. I've got 4 of each color double crochet clusters, so 8 double crochet clusters all together. You can see my working loops are pulled up there. I'm going to go into the main color, our first color, anchor that final stitch in place, and to finish off with the main color for this round, we do a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me untangle. There we go. Slip stitch into the 3rd chain on our starting point. So into the top of the stitch there, so it'll sit up nicely. And then what we're going to do is, like we would on a traditional granny, we do not turn on this. So if that's how you do a traditional granny, it won't be the same. We're just going to slip stitch through each stitch of that cluster, so we end up in the chain 3 space. So you can pop it forward at this point because we haven't anchored the final cluster of the second color in. Just slip stitch through so that we're finishing in the chain 3 space. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with our second color. Only difference is, I've just pulled that through and we don't need to. To finish off, we actually anchor this behind, so just into a back loop. You want your tension fairly tight on this square, not so tight that you can't work your hook though. So we anchor in there behind, do a chain of 2, I'm going to push that initial one through, I'm going to anchor into the top of the starting, get that out of the way, anchor into the top of the starting chain. So we started with a chain 3 instead of a double crochet on both, so we're going to anchor in there. And we're going to slip stitch our way over through both loops, slip stitch our way over to the chain 3 space. Two, into this first chain 3 space from the previous round. Okay, it is sitting a little funny there. Pop it through. There we go. Doing it that way means that it is reversible. Gorgeous on both sides. So we're ready to get started on round 2. So we'll go back to our first colour, remembering that we have already slip stitched to finish off round 1 in a chain space. We're going to begin this round by working a corner first. So we're going to chain 3 as our first double crochet, and just working in that chain. I've got my second colour over here out of the way because we're not going to be crocheting over the top of the yarn or anything, as we have done in some of the previous 2 colour maintain join squares. Now I'm going to do 2 double crochet into the chain space loop. 1 and 2. Pull it up. Now we're going to anchor the second colour into the same chain space, just kind of anchoring back on itself a little. Oops. Oh no, come back, little loop. There we go. Going to anchor that into the same chain space. Do a chain of 3. And 2 double crochet, staying in that same chain space because this will form our corner. Pulling up, going back to our first colour, we're going to chain 4. One, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, and then we're going to double crochet into the same chain space as the previous 2 clusters. We're going to put a 3rd in, and that will complete our corner. Keeping the second colour behind, not crocheting over the top of any part of that yarn. 1, 2, oops, and 3. And our corner is complete. Doesn't look it because that stitch is hiding at the back. We're going to pop that through as we have on the previous rounds. Going to anchor the cluster over that chain space, so they're all sitting there, nice little corner. I'm going to chain 2 and do 3 double crochet into the next chain space, which is here. Remember, not working over yarn. So 3 double crochet in there. 1, 2, and 3. Pull up that working loop. You can see our corner is looking a little more pointy, like a corner should. Now we're ready to go back to our main colour. So we'll pop that through again. Chain of 3. 1, 2, 3, and 3 double crochet into hold on, I'm losing my working loop. Pulled my other yarn too hard. Let's pull that back up over here so we don't lose it. Losing it once we've already got over the top means undoing 2 sets of clusters. So chain of 3, other colour behind, 3 double crochet into the next chain space. One, 2, and 3. And we're back to a corner. So I'm going to pull the second colour through the previous stitch, get our working loop back on, always anchoring our stitches so that they don't move around and they sit properly. First colour behind, now we're going to chain 2, 3 double crochet into the same chain space. 1, 2, and 3. Ooh, sorry guys, hope you don't get seasick. Corner space. So we're going to pull that colour through again. Remembering the chain on the corner space is actually 4, not 3 as in the side spaces. I'm going to finish this cluster and then I'm going to stop the video. It follows the exact same pattern around for the next 2 corners and 3 straights. If you want to follow along with the video, go back about 2 minutes 45. Alright, chain of 4, 3 double crochet into the same chain space, completes our corner. 1, 2, and 3. Pull up the working loop. We're ready to pull that one through the bigger chain 4 space and start working our side. I'll let you guys finish up. I'll meet you back here soon to show you how to finish off the round and get started on round 3. Okay, all the way back to the beginning. So we finished round 2. I'm just going to show you how to finish off the square properly, the round properly rather. Each round will be finished off in the same way. So I'll show you this really clearly this time, and then if you need to go back to it, just remember that this time on the video so you can go back on the consequent rounds to see how to finish them off properly. Okay, so we're going to put the main colour onto our hook, anchoring in of course as we do with every stitch. Chain of 3, 1, 2, 3. Going to join that with a slip stitch into the top of our starting chain for the round. Get in there. Slip stitching that one over, and then we are going to slip stitch across onto the next chain 3 space. So just as we did on the previous round, 1, 2, and 3, we're into the chain space, pulling up our working loop, ready to move on to round 3 once we finish with colour, our second colour. Just pulling that through, anchoring it onto the chain so that it stays in place and sits nicely. Now we're going to do a chain of 2, 1, 2, join it behind the main colour with a slip stitch into the top of the starting chain for that colour. So just leaving that at the back, slip stitching through the top of the chain, and then slip stitching through the next spaces to get into the chain space that we'll be working, which is here. So working the back, so we're just sticking with the same colour. The reason that we just slip stitch through with the second to get to the spot without going over the pink is because when completed, the Tipsy Granny is actually one of those wonderful squares that can look great either way. Okay, so that's completed now. We're ready to move on to round 3. Before we do, I just want to show you the other side. So this one's looking excellent. You can see how it kind of twists around. We've got the same thing on the back, all sitting nicely. As I said, one of those gorgeous squares that you can reverse if you choose to. I just need to sort out my children. I'll be right back to get us started on
Okay,
round
so
3.
as we did in round 2, we're going to start round 3 off by completing a corner, working into the chain 4 space that we created in the previous round. So I'm just going to do a chain of 3 to start, 2 double crochet, and get in the chain properly. There we go, 1 and 2,
Pulling up our working loop, and we can start with our secondary colour. Just need to untangle my yarn again. Always dancing. I think that's got it. Yep. Okay. Remembering we don't want to work over our yarn. Get that out of the way. So we are actually slip stitching back into that chain 4 space, starting with a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3, and 2 double crochet. And 2. Grabbing our first colour, it's a corner, so we're going to chain 4. And then working into the same chain 4 space, do the final triple crochet cluster to finish off our corner space, and we can work the sides. So you can see how repetitive this pattern is, working with the 2 yarns in a slightly different fashion to what we would for a traditional granny square, giving us a completely different look, which is a little quirky and fun in my opinion. I do love the way it sort of twists, and the name suggests that it maybe had a sherry with lunch. And pull the second colour through. So finished off our corner. Let's see my yarn wrapping around itself again. It's a bit fiddly, but if you just move your yarn every stitch, it's fine. Oh, I bumped you again. Now you'll all feel a little tipsy. Anchoring in to the center of our corner, chaining 2, and working our side stitches. So exactly the same pattern as the previous round, even finishing off the same way. But as with the traditional granny, obviously we have extra clusters into the side. So that's a cluster of 3 double crochet, pull up a working loop, bring in our second colour, always remembering anchoring each set onto the chain that we create as we move on with the other colour. So chain of 2, 1, 2, getting that out of the way, triple crochet cluster, this square reminds me a little bit of peppermint candies. I even mixed the colours up a little. I was going to do pink and white, I thought it would just look like a peppermint candy, so I changed it. It still looks like a peppermint candy a little. But I'm digging it, that's cute. I am digging it. Oh, that's not the working loop, there it is. I don't want to pull a whole ball of yarn through there. Pulling the wrong tail. Anchor off. This will be our last triple crochet cluster for the side, and we're back to working corners. Chain of 3. So if you go back about 5 minutes, the video will be demonstrating the corner we just completed. So you can follow along with that, or you can just continue working on your own all the way around. Remembering, I did show you how to finish the round off again. That would be probably 7 minutes ago, maybe a little bit more if you didn't note the time down. I just 2, 3. So we've done our side and we've got our first corner there. You can follow along with the video, or you can just go at your own pace if you've got the pattern down now. This is round 3. Round 4 should take it up to 6 inches, the same as the rest of our Crochet Along project squares. I'm not going to demonstrate that again because it is exactly the same as this round. So you can certainly go back to the start of this section of the video and follow along. That'll be about 6 minutes. If it's not the correct size, or if you choose to, you can also add a border around it. Just continuing with the main colour, slip stitch in or join a third colour on, and just single crochet all the way around. 3 single crochets with a chain of 2 in the center, and another 3 single crochet to make your corners nice and pointy. I hope you have found this video really helpful. I hope I have explained things clearly enough. As I said, I'm trying to get the important information through while keeping our time down so that we are able to upload it, because we are a little space limited. If you have any questions, I'll be in group tomorrow anyway. If you have found us helpful, please like the video. The more likes we get, the more people see them. Happy hooking, you all. I hope you have a fantastic day. See you next time.